we have three different suits to talk about today, and I already have crazy colors on them, so yeah. We have the Mahiru from Turn A, the Zaku II Melee from Mobile Suit Variation, which that blows the door open on what suits might appear in this game. And then what I like to call my Spearmint Minty Fresh Gundam Unicorn. Right off the bat, I just want to say, yes, Zaku II Melee is a little busted. I know some people that think that Unicorn is pretty busted. Unicorn with a good squad around it is very strong. Very, very strong. And Mahiru, I would definitely say, feels like the weakest of the three, but not by an enormous margin. More just by the fact that this is a very specialist kind of suit. And overall, it just... you have to have a lot of level knowledge, a lot of level geometry knowledge to get this suit to work the best. And it's just... you're not going to get the damage output out of this suit in a normal way compared to most other suits. In fact, let's start with the Mahiru. Let's talk about this suit. 3 grenade drum? Magazine? Drum. Let's call it a drum. So there's 3 shots, relatively decent rate of fire, 3 direct hits, will destroy a 800 HP suit. So this will take out, you know, another Mahiru. That would take out the Unicorn. It would take out a large number of suits in the game. But where this suit really specializes is in the ability to attack from angles that no other suit in the game can attack from. Like, I know that there's all these guys around the corner. What should I do about that? This is when you start bouncing grenades around, you know, searching for hit markers. It's not going to be a hugely straight up DPS suit most of the time, but the Mahiru benefits from being able to attack in ways no other suit in the game can attack. As a flanking suit, one of the things you can do is use its scan ability. You just quickly scan the field. Oh, sorry, wrong one. And from quite long range, as you can see, you can get a full view of how many people are on the other side of the wall. Which, again, normally when people are moving around and such, gives you the ability to get some good grenade bounces off and hopefully get a few units off the field. Secondary, this laser, man. I'm not the biggest fan of this. Okay, let's make sure we're reading everything correctly to begin with, because I have a tendency to forget to actually talk about move names. Right? So, the REND0 grenade launcher, and the scan I just did is called Sensor Dome. Sensor Dome, use the Sensor Dome to scan in front of the unit. Scanning can penetrate walls, but spotted units... Sorry, I hate that sound. But spotted units are only revealed to the user. So you can get a lot of information with the Mahiru if you're having active conversation with your teammates. But if you're not having an active... If you don't have open comms, you're the only one benefiting from that. Good on a flank. Really good information on a flank just for you to try to get as many grenades on target as possible. The Toroidal Shield with internal Mega Particle Cannon. Just call it the Mega Particle Cannon, or just call it the Particle Cannon, right? So, I am not the biggest fan of this move, but it is interesting. The laser you cannot shoot the laser at a target. That does not count. You can't shoot the laser at a direct target. It has to be hitting a wall or the floor. But the laser itself can do damage. So if I'm aiming just behind the feet of this Zaku, for example, I'm gonna hit him for some damage. I actually didn't realize the AoE on that was quite as big as it was. So the laser can do a little bit of damage, but the whole point of this move is the explosion that happens afterwards. It is a pretty big AoE explosion that stuns all enemies that it hits, dealing a decent amount of damage. I think if you're the absolute heart of this thing, it's 400. Yeah, 400 damage. So a good chunk of damage, half of the health bar of a lot of the suits in this game, and a very large, stunning AoE that if you get lucky and hit this in a hallway and get a whole bunch of stuns, your team's going to be able to finish off that squad pretty quickly. Good for a suit that I feel like, honestly, is best as a flanker. I feel like it has one very good anti-flanking tool. And then we have the weird move, the forward flip kick. So the forward flip kick bounces off of or up off of everything that it hits. So if you're in a situation where you're in a corner and you're shooting, you're trying to do some stuff, you're trying to get some damage, you're trying to put pressure on a point, and suddenly you realize a Barbados or an Exia is coming around the corner. More likely a Barbados or a Zaku Melee are the two that this would probably work best against. Would work decently against a Sazabi, would work decently against any shielded unit, but close range units are the ones that this is going to work best against. The flip kick pops you up and pops them back. And this suit can fly for quite a long while. So you can kind of do some crazy stuff with this. Like, I know I have super right now and I haven't explained it yet, but for example, you could technically go like and just start raining down hell if you wanted to. Or if you don't have super, you could do something like this, you know. Get a stun off once they've gone back. It's a pretty versatile move. You don't have air dashes, but again, this suit can fly for a surprising amount of time, which gives it a good amount of air superiority. Now, the second half to the flip kick is all about mobility. Not only does the flip kick basically act like an air dash, it also acts like a straight vertical wall jump if you do it straight into another surface. So, for example, normally I'd have to go 1, 2, right? Normally I'd have to jump up here and then jump up here. Not something that's going to take very long, but something that's going to make me predictable in where I'm going to go so my enemies are going to be able to aim at me. Instead, I could just do that. And I'm suddenly much higher up than I should be already. Or I could just do that, and the same thing, and I'm very high up again, already up on the rooftop, which elevated positions are some of the best spots for this suit to be as well, because it can technically dump down damage on enemy units without having to see them. So, I mean, if I would actually hit anything, which I'm not. You get the idea. That's really funny that I wasn't hitting any of those, to be honest with you. And last but not least, let me talk about the super here. This super is quite situational, but the potential damage here to a group of enemies is enormous. So you open both arms, which have 6 grenades at a time, I believe. Yeah, that looked like 6, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's 6. So it fires a total of 30 grenades, I believe, with each grenade impacting for 140 damage. It doesn't sound great on paper. You know, 140. So you're looking at 840 damage if I'm up close and personal with another suit and am able to get point-blank shots on them. Which also, by the way, real quick, yes, you can damage yourself with your grenades with this suit, which is a major weakness. But this suit isn't meant for close range encounters anyways. It's got ways to get out of that. So again, the Rush is what I'm going to call this one. Rush at point blank range. 690 damage. But of course, I'm also dealing damage to myself. The grenades stay clustered for a pretty decent distance. But when they spread out and go all over the floor of an area, you are just causing utter chaos. And that chaos is something that your teammates can capitalize on in a big way. And that's the point of this suit. This suit, more than anything, is a flanker. It's a disruptor. It has the capability of taking out shielded units, although I don't think that its kit is super strong, because, again, quite situational and really works like this situation. Shooting stuff around corners, great. This situation, open field, and there's going to be enemy units downfield that I'm going to have to try to really pretty much direct impact in order to get any meaningful damage. Not a great situation for the suit. But that's fine. The point of this suit is to supplement other suits. And in that regard, I think it's a good suit, for sure. In fact, I don't think there's a single bad suit in this game anymore. But of these three suits that were added in Season 1, Mahiru is absolutely the most situational. The Zaku Melee is the most brain-dead suit in the game. And I say that as someone who really likes using this suit. This is the most brain-dead suit in the game. So, the main thing to know about the Zaku Melee when it comes to its offense is that its axe technically has two different sets of damage. Now, sorry, I just want to make sure I'm not... The game audio hasn't been too loud, has it? So, there's two hitboxes on the axe. There's the actual axe itself, but then there's the blade, as it were, that you are throwing out in front of you. This is honestly what you're going to be doing most of your damage with, and it only does 85 damage. If you're close range and you're hitting with the axe itself, you're ticking on an extra 100 damage onto that, so you're dealing more than double. Well, more than double. So, you know, in 5 hits, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're about going to take down a 1,000 health suit. Now, the meter on the right that you now see that's red and blinking, that is the rage meter. Okay, and the axe is called the Heat Hog, and I know there's a lot here, and so it seems like there's a lot that this suit does. It's very straightforward. That is the rage meter. When the rage meter is full, I can hit the ability to activate Zeon's Rage, and Zeon's Rage gives me an instant big armor buff and gives me extra damage, but only to the ranged portion of my slash, but it's a big upgrade. It's an extra 95 damage to round out all the way up at 180. It's a big upgrade, so it suddenly makes this suit much more dangerous, especially if it is being used against grouped enemies. So, again, that is the nice thing about the blade. The blade over-penetrates enemies. When I say blade with this suit, I mean the ranged portion of it. The axe itself is only ever going to do flat melee damage. But anything that has to do with the blade, including the normal attack and the large Heat Hawk shockwave. I don't know why this is called a shockwave, but okay. That also can go through multiple opponents. And that does 300 damage, normally. Now here's where things get interesting. This ability is called Survive. I'm taking damage. Now I'm not... Well, I'm not in the line of fire, because First off, yes, I can hold down ADS for most suits, and it will put my arm up, and I do block some percentage of damage. Not a lot, but some. I mean, to see the difference, just stand in front of this guy, and you'll see, you know, losing fast, not losing nearly as fast, but still losing pretty fast. So, you know, it's not a full-on shield in the way that Sazabi has one and Jim has one, but it is at least a damage reduction. Now, the whole time you take damage as this suit, or any time that you are dealing damage with this suit, you are gaining Rage Meter. But you also gain Rage Meter while you are in your Survive pose. You are invincible while you are in your Survive pose. Nothing will do damage to you. So it is very common to dash onto a point when people are shooting on it, activate Survive, get that Rage Meter filled, activate Rage so you suddenly have a new health boost, and just start slashing away at everything around you. Because you're going to start taking things down pretty quickly for a melee unit dealing with a group of enemies. That's the fun thing about this suit. It's not good at soloing out individual enemies. It is a melee suit that specializes in taking out groups. And that is not shown in any way better than its ultimate. They call it rotating slash. It's the Beyblade, man. This is just the Beyblade. And the Beyblade is kinda nutty. $250 damage per hit, and I believe it hits 12 times. I don't think there's a better ultimate for attacking a well-defended point in the entire game right now. You got an entire enemy squad that are all... Oh, and by the way, the whole time I'm doing that, I'm doing damage and probably taking damage, so I'm gaining Rage Meter. So midway through my super, there's a very good chance that I can just pop Zeon's Rage, and suddenly... You have to see it to believe it. And I'll do it in just a moment, but let me also point out one other move that this suit has. It does have a guard tackle, a shoulder tackle, and the shoulder tackle bumps the opponent back, makes them drop a shield if they have it, and does 300 damage. So if you've ever played as Brigitte in Gundam Overwatch, wow, in Overwatch period, you know how that move feels. It feels very similar. It works in a very similar way. It's a fantastic anti-shield unit move. So yeah, let's say I didn't have my Rage Meter yet, right? And I activated this move, and midway through the move, I got Rage Meter. Watch the I just realized I am completely covering the damage numbers this whole time. Wow, I'm a professional. Let's move me even further down. That is... I apologize for that. I've been covering the damage numbers this whole time. So, again, normally each hit of this does 250. Activate. Wow, let's make that an extra 50% stronger to 375 damage per hit. If you are already raged, have a decent amount of health, and have ultimate with this suit, there's virtually nothing in the game that can stand up to its ultimate. Virtually nothing. A good team might be able to focus you down, and I am absolutely guilty of popping this super at times that I shouldn't. But it is at the very least flirting, if not truly, the strongest suit in the game, because it is a little bit overpowered right now. It is. The ultimate shouldn't last for as long as it does, and it shouldn't do as much damage as it does, for the fact that like, one of those two things needs to be tweaked. Like, take maybe 25 damage off of each one of its slashes and remove 2 of this and make it spin 10 times instead of 12, and I think it would be in a much better place. You know, still a strong ultimate, still a strong G maneuver, but not overpowering. Alright, the Spearmint Boy. Let's get minty fresh. So the unfortunate reality is that this suit basically ruins any chance of heavy arms being in the game, if you ask me, unless they do something very different with heavy arms than this one. Unicorn is very good. I've had a few comments that some people think that Unicorn is overpowered. I do not agree. But Unicorn is very, very good. The trade-off is that Unicorn is one of the tallest suits in the game. Look how much if I'm looking straight forward, I'm almost looking over an entire Zaku II. This suit is huge. And it only has 800 base health. So the Unicorn can absolutely be focused down and taken out pretty quickly if it's not reacting well. Its main weapon, the beam Gatling gun, can be hip-fired, hitting for 38 damage. On body, arms and legs, it's hitting for 28. Headshots hitting for 65. So it kind of feels like a worse Zaku II. Whoa! Look, it's Char! I've never seen that before. That's a nice little Easter egg. I like that. This suit can fight up close. If it needs to, it absolutely can fight up close. Is it the best at it? No. Is it going to get outclassed by any other close-range melee suit or Zaku or anything even up into the, you know, close medium range? Yeah. Like, a Sazabi's going to melt this thing. But the interesting thing is you can ADS with this weapon, which slows you down immensely. You can still dash, but the dash isn't great, and you are very slow. The bonus is that you are quite accurate. You have to maintain the recoil. You have to hold it, you know, in decent place to try to get the shots. But also, I just hit damage fall off at this range with this suit. I'm only just now hitting for 34. All the way up to 35, back up to 38. So this suit maintains its maximum weapon damage with a full auto, pretty freaking decently accurate weapon at good range. I like the weapon. Can you boost move with it or just dash? No, if I try to boost like this, I immediately put the weapon down. You cannot shoot while you are sprinting in this game. But you can, you know, you can dash like that while you're... and that even doesn't stop your ability to shoot while you're dashing like that. But it does not... You can't sprint, as it were. Here's the main reason this suit exists. If you've played Overwatch, you know how Lucio's AoE heal works. That ability has basically been given to Unicorn. So this bot is getting healed while I'm standing next to it. It's not much, but I am healing it while I'm standing next to it. But what's more important is that I can Psycho Field it. Psycho Field is the armor that I can grant to allies with a single AoE button press. And look how much that increases the survivability of this suit. It's a lot. It increases your survivability for a significant amount of time and has an enormous effect on how effective a push, a grouped push, can be. So it grants, I believe it grants 300 armor in total as the armor is going up, and the armor is granted over time. It's very good. It can help with pushes so much, It can help your individual survivability so much. Like, ow, 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 ow. Like, that extra 300 health, you can feel it. You can really, really feel it. Second ability of this suit, the shield funnel. Looking at an enemy highlights them, and pressing activating the skill launches the shield funnel towards them. The shield funnel damages and tracks the highlighted enemy as it travels. Upon impact, the enemy unit takes damage and is knocked back. So from pretty far range, I've actually never checked the max of, good lord, that is actually pretty far. You launch the shields towards the enemy. It's not a ton of damage, but at maximum range, it deals an extra 260. It's nice to tack on a little bit of extra damage on an enemy. It's nice to be able to knock them back, but I don't believe it knocks the shield out of an enemy's hands. It doesn't stun enemies. So it's not the hugest ability. And honestly, if you ask me, I think it's a little weak as an ability. Especially since it's very easy to mess up and do something, I don't know. Do something like this. Oh, I didn't even do it, but it's very easy to have this ability hit a corner or a wall. And if it does that, it just dies immediately. It doesn't go through walls, it doesn't do anything. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, Radical. It's basically a kill secure. Like, if I'm at this point, I'm getting some body shots, and I need to get out of there, I'll do that, and I'll get out, and I'll run behind cover, and I'll try to survive. It's a decent, like, hey, solar flare. Like, get out of my face. Now, talking about the Beam Magnum, this suit's ultimate is a very, very double-edged sword. Very double-edged sword. Because it doesn't do a lot of damage. You have to be in place for it to shoot. And it has a very, very low rate of fire. But it's a railgun. So if you are shooting a whole bunch of enemies that are grouped in a corridor with this ultimate, it can do really well. But what I'm showing you here is how much damage each individual shot does, and I'm going to try to shoot each individual suit here with one shot as quickly as I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait a second. Why'd that do so much damage to the last suit? Does this gun do more damage if it over-penetrates enemies? Because that would be huge for me to discover that right now. Yes, it does pierce. And that is the big thing about this super. It pierces. It's basically a railgun. By that, I don't mean that it shoots through walls, because it doesn't shoot through walls, but it does over-penetrate enemies, which not many attacks in this game do. So for that alone, it's good. Also, as you can see, it's pretty easy to gain ultimate very fast if you're hitting headshots with this suit. But if I was, you know, to get this lucky somehow, I could take out a whole row of suits in 2 shots. Because each individual shot is doing how much damage? 350 and 200? Yeah, so, you know, 550 damage per shot. It's going to take out the vast majority of suits in the game in 2 shots. And yeah, okay, so I grazed him on the other one, so that's what it is. So you can see that there's a giant... There's 2 parts of that shot, I should say. Or rather, the shot has 2 hitboxes. There's the outer, I guess, cylinder, as it were, and then the actual beam magnum shot going down the center of that outer cylinder. And that's 2 different hitboxes. It's hitting at 2 different strengths. Already a little bit of a detriment to this one, if you ask me. But you have to be standing still in order to use it. Yeah, literally exists because of one scene from Unicorn. Yeah, pretty much. you know, you have to be standing still in order for the shot to actually shoot. It does not go immediately as soon as you click. Clicking basically aims the shot, and then a heartbeat later, you feel the actual shot go off. And then you're still for a moment even longer afterwards. I'm not calling it a bad ultimate, because I don't think it's a bad ultimate. I think it's pretty freaking good. I'm just trying to gain ultimate back here as quickly as I can. Which, as I said, you can gain back pretty quickly with this suit if you need to. Yeah, so if I just... Oh, okay, so the outer one is the one that does 350. That's good to know. But that still means you have... Yeah, it's one of the ones that you don't use just because you have it. That Radical's absolutely right again. This is an ultimate that is quite situational. You're going to want a lot of information. It's a great flanking ultimate. It's a great flanking ultimate because there's a good chance that coming around a corner, you're going to have a good chance of finding a gun line in some situations. And I think Unicorn is one of the best flank supports in the game. I think that this suit going around a corner with a Marasai, with a Gundam Melee, or with a Turn A are all good options. Even the RX, even the OG Gundam, I think are all good options to go with this suit. That I would say the GM, or the Gym rather, but the Gym itself is, I think, the flank support in that situation. So having a Gym and a Unicorn going as a pair around a flank isn't quite as good. So this suit absolutely works best as a group support suit. Backline, firing line, support damage, support healing. You know, you're not going to want to see this suit fighting up this close very often because, again, only 800 health. Even with the armor boost, you know, you're looking at it topping off just under 1100 health. Not the best. If I were to rank these three suits right now, I would go Melee is first, the Unicorn is second, and Mahiru is third. But it's not by, like, some absurd margin between all three of them. It's quite close. I think all three of these suits are good. I just think that all three of these suits are, to a degree, situational. Mahiru and Zaku especially, but Unicorn to a bit more of a flexible degree, because you want Unicorn to be either paired up with that flanker or that support behind your main gun line where you've got a Sazabi in there, you've got a sniper in there possibly, your ranged units like your Gundam, your Turn A. Supporting a gun tank is really fun. Ashimar is going to fly back to you, get a few heals, boost it up with some armor, and then fly back out. Of course, it works well with Pale Rider. Everything works well with Pale Rider. It's just probably not going to be the best support for your closest range units. Your Zakus, your Exias, your Barbados. These three are probably going to be going ahead, as is Ashimar really, to deal some damage while you're back with the gun line, while you, as the Unicorn, are probably chilling around the corner with a Melee, or even, I don't know, who else would I want flanking with me? I could see a Zaku flanking with me. You know, a Dom Trooper or a Marasai. I really love Marasai, man. But yeah, quick overview of those three suits. Quick overview of those three suits, as it were. What do I think about the overall balance in the game right now, though? Turn A, I like quite a bit now. I think it's been significantly boosted. I think it's become a much better suit than it was beforehand. Zaku, ranged in the right hands, is absolutely terrifying. It's going to melt everything in its path. Sazabi is a workhorse. I really don't play as this suit as much as I should. Yes, that's the big thing with Turn A. They did fix that janky grab, so that grab does not care if you have a shield Zazabi. It does not care if you have a shield Jim. It wants a hug, and it's going to get that hug. But if I had to say, Exia in the right hands is a mortifyingly strong suit. I am terrible with this suit, so don't even try to get me to use it. Wait, why is my... What? Why is my instant replay on? Turn off. Yeah, what most people don't realize about Turn A is that you can hold charge while boost running. Yeah, that's a big deal. That's one of the things about this suit that people... Yep, you can hold that down, have that ready. Boom. Oh, look, 800 health suit dead.